2 spring portal entries for NC State football in the last 2 days. Is this an indictment of the program or simply just the numbers game?
You are Locked On Wolfpack, your daily podcast on the NC State Wolfpack, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, Wolfpack Nation? It's time to get locked in with Locked On. Thanks for making Locked On Wolfpack your first listen each and every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Our Tuesday show is brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. As always, terms apply. Happy Tuesday to all. As always, I'm Grayson Boone, joined by former Wolfpack defensive tackle Kenton Gibbs. Kenton, this has now been the second consecutive day we have seen a somewhat significant portal entry into the spring portal from NC State football. On Sunday, it was running back Kendrick Raphael. On Monday, it was wide receiver Dacari Collins. So, Kenton, I'll go ahead and pose the question. Is this an indictment of where the program is heading this year, or is it simply just the numbers game?
No, this is simply the numbers game. And I hate to, throw another school under the bus, but there was a defensive end leading sack guy for Pitt who jumped in the portal around this time last year. And he was specifically quoted by Pittsburgh's local newspaper as saying, this team cannot win, as his reasoning. And I was like, oh, damn. Like, this is again, this is your pass rush specialist. This is your guy that generates pressure, that he's the math changer that, you have to account for. And he's saying, hey, this team ain't about nothing. That's concerning. That is very, very concerning, as opposed to, and again, this is not to say that Dacari Collins was not a meaningful player or he did not do good things in the red and white, because he absolutely did. He absolutely had moments that were big time there. But this is not the guy or a situation where if somebody were to tell me, hey, Dacari Collins was not going to leave, or the Masters just passed. I know betting on golf odds works like you sometimes take the star guy or the field. If this was the situation for like, hey, who's going to lead NC State in receiving yards next year, I would have been like, oh, the field, definitely. So again, Dacari Collins, wonderful young man. I've met some members of his family, good people. Again, nothing bad to say about Dacari either. This is another one of those that this feels like the numbers game more so than an indictment of the program. Like, this is different than if a Brandon Cleveland were leaving. And I'm like, wait a minute now. He was supposed to be the anchor in the middle of that defensive line. What he was going to get every snap that he could have wanted, probably plus some. What's happening here? What's the problem? This doesn't feel like that.
Kind of in the same breath, like, for example, yesterday when it was Kendrick Raphael, I don't necessarily have a problem with him wanting to move on, because to me, that means that Duke Scott's probably rising through the ranks and he's ready to be RB2. So in the running back room, if it were, say, Hollywood Smothers hitting the portal, yeah, you better believe I'd have a gigantic problem with that. Not to mention, he's one of my favorite players. But if you look at the wide receiver room, if Noah Rogers was the name entering the portal, I'd be on here having a meltdown. I'll be very transparent with y'all. I would be in pieces, but it's not Noah Rogers. And it's not to say, again, that Dacari Collins didn't have meaningful contributions, because he did. He had several big plays for us last year, was very helpful to a kid like CJ Bailey last year, being just a freshman. But to Kenton's point, this is just simply the numbers game. That's the exact same situation we just talked about with Kendrick Raphael. What this tells me is you have dudes that are younger that are pushing Dacari in practice, in the spring game. They're going to be pushing him if he were hypothetically to stay here all throughout the fall. This tells me that Keenan Jackson has arrived. This tells me that Terrell Anderson has arrived. This tells me that Noah Rogers is ready to take a bigger step. This tells me that you might have a Jarrell Boulder in the mix, possibly Jonathan Paylor. This wide receiver room is probably the most competitive of any room we have on this team, whether it's quarterbacks, anything on the defensive end of the ball, offensive line, like anything. This is the most deep and competitive room that we have. I remember saying on here when we re-signed all of our wide receivers directly after the season had ended, I was a little bit shocked, because if you're bringing back all of that same production, there was still going to be the same math that You only have so many mouths to feed. There's only be so many guys that can make meaningful contributions and stay on the field, the bulk of the plays. And I also remember that last year, one of our more consistent criticisms of the team was shortening the wide receiver rotation. There's simply too many snaps to too many guys that weren't making as big of a difference as other guys on the team. And so I think this is exactly that. This tells me the young guys are rising to the ranks, and maybe Kurt Roper is looking to shorten the wide receiver rotation. That could be a conversation that was had. It wouldn't surprise me at all, because that is simply the way that these things work. And so to anyone that was mashing the panic button or saying, oh, this is Dave Doran's fault, it's not. This is something that happens at every school in the country. A kid that's going to have a reduced role next year, if the coaches are upfront and transparent about that, yeah, more than likely they're going to weigh their options and probably hit the portal. I'm sure Dacari knows that he has a ton of young talent behind him that is ready to play now. And if they're catching him, then yeah, let's all read the tea leaves here together. This is what it is. This is college football. And it's the same thing that we just talked about with Kendrick Raphael. If Duke Scott is beating him out in spring ball, let's go ahead and read what's written on the wall here, okay? We all know what's going on. And I've also said this too about the spring portal. If you're entering the spring portal, and again, I say this with all due respect, I'm not throwing any shade here at all. But if you are entering the spring portal, it's for a reason. It's because you went through spring ball and you could see your future not going essentially the way that you wanted it to at that particular program. Like 95% of the time, that's what's going on. The other 5 is like tampering, money issues, or if you're Nico Imaliava. So that's that. We certainly wish Dacari the best, as we do with Kendrick Raphael, but this is not an indictment of Dave. I tweeted this back to someone on Twitter. You can blame Dave for a lot of things, but a player weighing his options and understanding that he's going to have a reduced role and wanting to move on, you can't blame Dave for that. Dave has nothing to do with that. It's just simply the numbers game. No hard feelings. It's just business.
Yeah, and more so than anything else, I think that people need to understand that, life isn't black and white. There's a ton of beautiful colors in between. And this is one of those moments where you got to get out of that binary thinking that it had to be a problem with somebody else. Somebody had to have a serious problem. Something had to go wrong.
Right.
Sometimes, again, the numbers work out as they do, and you live with that. Sometimes it's just like, we thought that this was going to be thing X, Y, and Z, or it looked way A, B, and C, and it didn't end up working out that way. And even if it isn't about like, this guy got beat out or whatever the case may be, there could be a myriad of reasons, right? Like even if Duke Scott had not overtaken Kendrick Raphael, maybe Kendrick Raphael is like, I want to be a guy that gets 25 touches a game, 25 a game. This is not the place to do that. That the offensive system that we're running may not be a good fit. There may be plenty of things to say. And same with Dacari Collins. He might say, hey, you know what? I want an offense that's more reliant on jump balls, or I want whatever the case may be. There are a myriad of reasons. And let's get out of the binary of thinking that, there's a good guy, there's a bad guy. Somebody won, somebody lost. He's not going to get anywhere better, or we're not going to find a better player. Sometimes it just works out that way where it's like, I think it's best for all parties that we both seek other pastures.
It can quite literally be as simple as that. This doesn't mean the program's falling apart and there's lack of institutional control. Dave's lost the locker room. This does not mean any of that. It's simply a player weighing his options and wanting to put himself in what he thinks will be a better situation somewhere else. And as college sports fans, you would hope that kids are weighing their options and making the best decision for them. Because again, not to bring up Nico Imaliava again, you can see where you're getting bad advice and you're making bad decisions. So you want these kids to weigh their options and make the best choice for them. I don't want to turn this into a conversation where I'm banging my fist on the table and said, well, they're just kids. None of that. But this is college football, man. This is D1 ACC college football. If you're not going to play and be on the field consistently, I'm sorry. This staff is not at a point where they can hold hands and give everyone participation. You either contribute or you won't be on the field. It is quite literally as simple as that. So the sky's not falling. This is not exactly a surprise either. I'm kind of surprised it took this long, to be quite honest with you. I thought this would happen kind of after the bowl game. But wide receiver Dacari Collins and running back Kendrick Raphael have both entered the spring transfer portal. NC State football will be just fine. And I'm going to say one more thing here. And again, no disrespect. I don't think these are two guys that you'll feel a difference And that sounds bad, but hear me out. Duke Scott, if he's taking leaps and bounds, that's your RB2. This is a situation where potentially you can have Jonathan Taylor open up for more snaps out of the backfield. We've all been clamoring to see that. Maybe that works out for the best. Same thing with Dacari Collins moving on. Perhaps this means you get more Noah Rodgers, more Wesley Grimes, perhaps more passes to Justin Jolie. We all wanted that last year, okay? The sky's not falling. I think NC State football will be just fine moving forward. Coming up next, we're switching gears into some basketball portal talk. We're still kind of waiting on pins and needles. There's a couple more names to discuss. More on this after a quick word from our sponsors. Our first Tuesday sponsor is Gametime. There's simply nothing like the atmosphere of an NBA playoff game. Every bucket, every defensive stop, and every moment feels huge. It's electric inside the arena, and with Gametime, you can be a part of it without the stress of last-minute ticket hunting. Gametime makes it fast and easy to get playoff tickets, even when the demand is sky high. Prices on the app actually go down as tip-off gets closer, and their last-minute deals can save you up to 60%. Their all-in pricing feature will show your total upfront, so you receive zero surprise fees at checkout. What you see is what you get. And as always, you get that panoramic view of your seat inside the app before you buy, so you know exactly what to expect upon arrival. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply, and again, create an account and use redeem code LOCKEDONCollege. That's LOCKEDONCOLLEGE, LOCKEDONCollege, for $20 off. Download Gametime today. Last-minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. Middle portion of our Tuesday show, now switching gears into some basketball transfer portal talk. Well, we're recording this around 7, and I should give you the disclaimer here. This is around the time of the year where anything we record, it can very easily get undone. It can be breaking news literally any second, especially because we're still waiting to hear word on the Indiana forward, Mackenzie Mbako. Now, I told you on Monday's episode, he did take one last visit to Ole Miss. As I understand, NC State's kind of just waiting to hear officially what Mackenzie is choosing to do with his next step. So whether that's good or bad, we don't quite know. But I will reinforce what I told you again on Monday. I think NC State is the leader in the clubhouse. I'd have to imagine the sales pitch was very strong because this is coming from a coach in Will Wade that gives out strong behind offers, as we all have come to understand. NC State has done everything they can up to this. Maybe it will require like a second visit of some sort behind the scenes. I don't know, but I feel really good about NC State's chances to land Mackenzie Mbako. I still feel pretty good about Darion Reed as well from Alabama. I know he was linked to BYU on Monday. BYU all of a sudden has hands and pockets full of money, but they spent $3.5 million on Robert Wright. We'll see how that shakes out. So I don't really know where to put my worry meter, so to speak, on that yet either. But there's 3 more names that came across our desk on Monday. Wes Ennis, I think is how you pronounce it. Wes Ennis or Wes Enos. He's a 6'2" guard from Lincoln Memorial University. It's a D2 school. He shot 45% from the floor, 39% from 3, 84% at the foul line, and he averaged 20 points per game at the D2 level. Kenton, I'll give you my thoughts here. This feels like a depth piece. I don't think that Wes would be coming to NC State to be a starter or be a star or lead the way. This just feels like a good depth. Everybody remembers Cam Woods from the Final Four team. Glizzy, they called him. This is what this feels like to me. This feels like a Cam Woods-esque pickup, a guy that can be on your bench. Sometimes he can come in the game, be a microwave scorer. Obviously, if you shoot it that well from deep, you can potentially come in and impact the game. But that's all that Wes Ennis feels like to me. It's a depth piece, perhaps a good one at that, but he also visited NC State here on Monday. Kenton, what are your thoughts on Wes Ennis?
You're talking about all these gets out the portal. Obviously, ideally, it was like, well, damn, can Will Wade get all these guys? But even if, number one, I mean, the numbers just work out so that you can't get all of them. But even if, you do miss on some of these guys, whatever the case may be, Will Wade is ahead of schedule. He is ahead of schedule. So let's not be, super up and down and roller coaster-ish about every player that NC State doesn't land here. And now about the gentleman from LMU, I'm going to say it like this here. At the end of the day, you can never have too many good players. And like you said, this young man may be a good depth piece. He may come in and be more than that. I think that what I would like to see more than anything else is just continue building this roster out with guys who fit Will Wade's demeanor. Continue to build this roster out with guys who ain't going to take crap from nobody, who, there are certain teams, there are certain folks. Again, bad boy Pistons guy here, okay? Hey, there are certain teams that are better when they're like, we're physical, we mix it up, we do what we do, and we make it tough and difficult on everybody. And so doing that, getting guys who fit that mold, that's the most important thing to me. Getting guys who are skilled, of course, but getting guys who fit that mold, it means the world.
At this stage of the game, I'm pretty confident in saying that Will Wade has kind of already identified who he sees as the big fish. And those are the names that you're started to see trickle out here publicly. A lot of these names that you're seeing kind of behind the scenes, like, NC State has reached out to XYZ. It feels more depth-ish. It doesn't quite make the same waves as a name like a Trey Holloman or a Jaron Stevenson or Darion Reed. It's not quite that level. So I think Wes Ennis falls under the first category in that he would be perhaps a solid depth piece, but that's all you can really project of him as of now. So maybe that goes really well. Maybe he can be a microwave scorer. His numbers seem to project that maybe that is the case, but how can you really project from the D2 to the ACC level? A bit of a tough ask there. Second name here, and I don't want to butcher it. I think it's either Paul Mabia, or Paul Mibia. He's from the Congo, so Congolese b-ball Paul, if you will. He's only been playing basketball for a handful of years. He's from the NBA Academy in Africa, which is in South Africa. Most recently, he's been playing in the Euro League, so he's had some, I guess you could say, professional experience. He's a 6'11" center. My thoughts on this is maybe you can take him as like a project. Again, hasn't been playing basketball for that long. I have to imagine his skills are very raw, very unrefined. And so perhaps Will Wade and Andrew Slater can see something in his future development. Paul has been working to schedule visits with NC State, Kansas, and Kansas State. So Bill Self is also in on this. So perhaps there is something beneath the surface here. But Kenton, what are your thoughts on Congolese b-ball Paul? Paul, I'm going to say it's Mabia.
Paul is not just 6'11". If you see a picture of this guy, he's jacked. That is a big man. Now he's not nothing to be played with down there. And I'll tell you this much. At the end of the day, when you talk about what you want out of a big in the college game, more than anything else, can you rebound? Can you protect the rim? Right? Paul is obviously learning how to do both of those at a better rate because he is new to the game, and that timing of how to block shots, that timing of where the ball is going to bounce, all that takes years to develop. But with his frame and his athleticism, as that comes along, I think he'll be just fine. I'd like to see him with the Pack. I honestly would. I think he would solidify the center position right away.
Yeah, it's just kind of hard to project because, he doesn't really have any stats out there. There's extremely limited tape. All you can really base this off is his size. He's a massive human being and very, unrefined skills. Perhaps it can build him into something significant. But that's another name, I guess, to keep an eye on here in the near future. Third name is Duke Brennan. He's a 6'10" center from Grand Canyon University out in the desert, playing for Bryce Drew. He averaged nearly a double-double for the Lopes this year, 10.4 points, 9.2 rebounds. He was all WAC conference second team, and he was a part of the all-defensive team out in the WAC conference this year. He played 1 year at Arizona State, played at Grand Canyon for the last 2. This is another guy I think could potentially be a very nice depth piece.
Let me tell you something. Duke, out of the 3 that we're talking about, Duke Brennan is by far the most developed, the most ready-made right now. He does a lot of things and does them all well. He is the proven commodity of the group that, he's not going to shock you. You know what you're getting from Duke. But again, he's a guy that he's got that Ben Middlebrooks to him, that high energy, that, hey, I'm going to do what I'm going to do type of deal in that regard. But he's also very, very active in passing lanes. And in terms of making shots difficult, even if he doesn't block your shot, he's going to make you kind of, double clutch when you shouldn't and that type of stuff. And that's all you want to see there. Again, this is a guy, he's going to crash that offensive glass. If we get multiple of these guys, I don't think that rebounding will be a problem in the way that it has been in the past few years for NC State.
Yeah, Duke Brennan intrigues me as like a depth piece behind what we think to be a big fish as a big man, whether that's Darion Reed or perhaps Mackenzie Mbako or any other names kind of floating around in the abyss. I would like to see Duke Brennan in the red and white. I think he'd be a very effective depth piece there in the front court. Last couple bits of information to round up here. Jaron Stevenson, who we've been talking about with interest with NC State, he did commit to the Dirty Foot Club on Sunday evening, so he is now off the board. Congratulations to Dirty Foot Club for taking a player that they all vehemently said they did not want. You played yourself. We'll see where NC State kind of pivots to next. I'd have to imagine that kind of turns up the heat a bit more on a player like Mackenzie Mbako or Darion Reed from Indiana or Alabama, respectively. But we'll see. Again, this is a situation where we're all just kind of clock watching. We're seeing what will happen next. We anticipate that Mackenzie Mbako will be making a decision here sometime in the next, I'd say, like 48 hours. We'll see. I told you, I think by Wednesday, you will know something one way or another. So maybe it'll come on Tuesday. Maybe it'll come in the next 5 minutes here in real time on Monday night and completely spoil this entire episode. I don't know. I guess you'll find out with us here on Tuesday. Coming up next, we're rounding out our Tuesday episode talking about Pac-9 baseball, an unbelievable series win this past weekend over the Louisville Cardinals. More on this after a quick word from our sponsors. Our second Tuesday sponsor is Monarch Money. You ever check your bank account and wonder where the heck did all my money go? It's happened to me a time or two. Between dining out, online shopping, and entertainment, sometimes it's easy to lose track. That's where Monarch Money comes to play. It's your personal CFO giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app, it's a complete financial command center. You can track all of your accounts, investments, and spending in just one place so you can stop managing your money and start building your wealth. Managing your money with your partner is also now smoother than ever. You can track shared and personal accounts, set goals, and stay on the same page without all of the stress. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONCollege at monarchmoney.com for 50% off of your first year. That's Monarch like the butterfly, money like the money, using code LOCKEDONCollege. LOCKEDONCOLLEGE, Locked On College, for half off your first year, only at Monarch Money. Last couple minutes of our Tuesday show. Now finally getting to talk some Wolfpack baseball here on Tuesday. What a weekend it was for the Pac-9. A series win over the 14th ranked Louisville Cardinals, because birds still, they do not have teeth, never have, never will. This was an insane series. It was complete nonsense. It was complete chaos. And in some senses, a complete encapsulation of everything that makes college baseball great. Some days you think you're going to come to the ballpark and win like a tight one, like a 4-3 ball game. It'll turn out to be 25-8 somehow, and nobody really has a clear explanation. It's insane. And that is, in summary, college baseball. Actually, baseball in general. Sometimes it happens in the big leagues too. It's the weirdest sport, makes zero sense. That's why we all love it. So, game one on Friday, a thrilling 13-11 win in this one. Dom Fretton had not a good day early, gave up 5 runs in just 2 2/3 innings. It seemed like Louisville would potentially pull away with how powerful and relentless their offense. Not only could they pound the baseball all over the ballpark, but they kill you on the base pass. They'll steal, they'll tag up on shallow pop flies, and you wouldn't expect them to do so. Extremely aggressive team, and they take every advantage they can get. But NC State fought back. Louisville put up a 5 spot in the top of the third, but NC State was able to respond with a 7 spot in the bottom of the fourth, in large part because Louisville ended up walking 16 batters in a game like this one. And the fact that NC State was able to score 13 runs without hitting a home run is a testament to taking what they give you. If Louisville's not going to throw you a strike, make them throw you a strike. NC State did exactly that. Some patient hitting, quality at bats. I was very proud of the way that NC State fought back after this is a game that they could have been buried very early on.
Thank God Javi Baez doesn't play for the NC State Wolfpack. But in all seriousness, right, there is something to be said there about the plate discipline to take that many walks. There is something to be said there about the eye to understand, hey, they're not pounding the zone. They are not challenging us. They're not saying, here it is, come get it type of deal. So there's no need to chase it, right? And then when you add in that many walks, I mean, is anybody else tired of hearing the Matthews Motors? It's the walking man's friend jingle. Because, boy, it was a whole lot of walking going on in this one. But in all seriousness, when you look at how this game was won, it was much more of a small ball approach than it was like, oh, man, the bases are loaded. All of a sudden, we're scoring 4 runs at a time because after all these walks, we've got somebody coming up that's swinging for the fences. Again, everybody was patient. Everybody knew there is no such thing as a 5 or 6 run play. There is no such thing.
Yeah.
It is my job to do my job. And when you do that, when you chop wood and carry water long enough, all of a sudden you find yourself in that winning column.
Steady rows the boat. That's exactly what you saw on Friday night. Ty Head was 2 for 4 with 3 RBIs. Alex Sosa had 3 doubles and actually still found a way to walk 3 times. That's a great encapsulation of how insane this game was. He had 6 total at-bats, did not get out a single time. And shout out to Jacob Duden. This is the Jacob Duden I've been telling you has been here all along. 4 innings of relief, just gave up 1 hit, no runs scored, 4 strikeouts, a dominant force. Again, Louisville is one of the best offenses in the country. They are relentless, like insane relentless. Jacob Duden came out of the bullpen, and Louisville was quiet, completely quiet the rest of the night. 0 answer for the dude on the mound. He's back. I've been telling y'all this is the dude we've had the whole time. A little bit of struggles early in the season. He has found his groove now. I think he's given up like 1 run in the last however many innings. It's like 20 plus. He's rolling right now. Keep riding that momentum. This is a great win on Friday night. Saturday, really not much to talk about. We got our doors blown off. Final score was 25-8. Yes, that was a baseball score. And it instantly reminded a lot of us of game 1 in the Super Regional. We went to Arkansas a couple years ago. I want to go ahead and remind some folks, and everybody knows where I'm going with this. How did those next 2 games turn out? Oh, yeah. NC State shocked the number 1 team in the nation, went to Omaha. This game, game 2, had a similar feel to that. Louisville got literally everything they wanted. We had 0 answer defensively, offensively, on the mound. We got murdered, like literally murdered. This is one of the largest deficits, I think, in like NC State baseball history. Like it was that bad. But guess what? When you turn around and you dominate in game 3 on Sunday, doesn't matter anymore because you win game 3 in dominant fashion, in large part because Ryan Marone was a dog. This is another guy. He's been a dog all year, kind of high and low at times, but when he hits that high, it's remarkable. 6 2/3, only 1 run given up, 4 strikeouts, and found a way to stymie the Louisville Bats. NC State wins game 3 on Sunday by a score of 11-1, purely dominance. And that was the look of a team that could find themselves hosting when it's all said and done. You could end up being a national seed when you keep finding ways to win on weekends like that one. Don't give up hope when NC State loses 1 game because I see it every single time we lose. What's going on with Avon? Will this old man just retire already? I'm sick of seeing this. And then NC State will then rattle off like 3 or 4 wins in a row. Baseball's different. It's not football. It's not basketball. It's different. 1 win does not define your season. Multiple series wins will define your season. And that's the current trajectory of this team right now. They're on a hot streak. Series wins over now Virginia and Louisville back-to-back. This team is now starting to get hot at the right time and just finding ways to win ball games. That is what matters. Even when it's not pretty, they find ways to win. Great teams find ways to win.
Quick question, Grayson. When's the last time this team lost a series?
I believe it was Duke on the road a couple weeks ago.
Been a couple weeks.
Yes.
You know, it's been a minute. It's been a minute. This team is doing what they're supposed to do. They're stacking days. That's all you can ask for. This team is getting better. Early in the season, hey, lots of people were worried. Grace and I were on our way to worry. They seem to have circled the wagons.
Things take time, especially in college baseball. You're never going to play your absolute best in February and the early parts of March. But when you get hot in late April and that bleeds into May and June, those are the teams that you'll see carry that momentum into Omaha. That's exactly what you saw NC State baseball do just a year ago. How soon some people forget this is what NC State baseball does. Elliott Avent and the Pac-9 have been a model of consistency. Don't forget that. It's astonishing how many people were willing to forget that on a year-to-year basis. This team is now picking up momentum at the right time. They're off in the middle of this week. They're going all the way out to California for a road series against the Cal Bears. That's a series. I don't want to put my foot in my mouth, but that's a series that NC State should win. Go on the road, take care of business, and continue this momentum into the latter parts of April. Even when you think that they might, they do not die. That is the mark of an Elliott Avent Wolfpack baseball team. That will do it for us here on Tuesday. As always, be sure to hit that like button. Drop your comments in the comment box. Give us your thoughts on the exit of Kendrick Raphael and now Dacari Collins from the wide receiving core. Are you concerned? Do you understand? Do you have any questions? Let us know in the comment box. Let us know your thoughts on the current status of the basketball portal saga. Are you worried that we have not heard from Mackenzie Mbako yet? Again, maybe he's going to say something by the time I'm done editing this, and I'll have to fix it. I don't know. But this is the time of year. Anything can change at any given moment. Give us your thoughts on that. And tell us what you thought about NC State baseball taking the series against 14th ranked Louisville. It was a great series win. Very exciting. If you don't watch baseball that often, you picked a good weekend to watch. That will do it for us again here on Tuesday. We'll see y'all tomorrow on Wednesday. And until then, go Pack.
Go Pack.